What's up, family? Joe B from CRUSHERCAST here. Finally back. Life got crazy, but you guys don't want to hear about that. What you do want to hear about is the guest we have today. One half of the power couple, Jessi Canoy is with us today. Entrepreneur. She does a lot of work for with battered women, women in recovery, men and women in recovery. Trying to get their lives back in order and part of a self development program. Just an all around badass. So, but before we get to that, you guys are going to love this episode. Before we get to that, just want to take a minute and let you know we've got some new things coming from CRUSHERCAST. We're going to start doing some small segments. I think we're going to call them CRUSHERCAST Wellness. And what that's going to look like is it's going to be some smaller episodes, 10 minutes to maybe a half hour, where we're going to go through mind, body, and spirit. I've been getting a lot of questions about keto, so we'll probably start there and just do fundamentals. And it's just going to be a conversation. We're going to talk about the basics of everything. And, you know, like I've said a million times before, I'm no professional on anything. I just know what has worked for me in my life and some of the people that are in my life. So we're going to start with some health, or we'll probably start with the keto diet and just go through some fundamentals and stuff like that, and do some shopping lists and answer any questions you guys got, just from my limited knowledge. And if not, if I don't know, we'll find out together. Then we'll get into some fitness stuff, and we'll bring in some guests. Got a lot of friends that are in the fitness industry, and we'll work them in. And like I said, it's just going to be short, little brief. We're gonna get to the meat and potatoes. Well, it's keto, so no potatoes, but we'll get to the heart of it, and just in layman's terms, answer some questions and kind of lay out how things work for me in my life when it pertains to the keto diet. But then we'll look at some stretching exercises, some simple workouts, some trouble areas with like sciatica and stuff like that. We're going to address some stuff with that, and then also we're going to delve into the spirit part of it. And by spirit, I don't mean religion or anything like that. But what we are going to touch on is we're going to talk about meditation, different forms of meditation that I've messed with, and just jump into some different philosophies and stuff like that. But like I said, they're just going to be little segments just to kind of fill in gaps in between interviews and just kind of keep us talking and keep us in contact. But anyway, that being said, those will be coming up soon. I'm going to start recording a bunch of those just as I have free time in the evenings and stuff. We're going to knock out a bunch of those and get them to you. We'll package them a little different and get them all, but they'll all fall under the CRUSHERCAST header. But anyways, that being said, like I said, Jessi Canoy's on here today. They're on their way now. And I just can't wait for you guys to meet her and really get to know her. She's such a powerhouse. So without further ado, Jessi Canoy. CRUSHERCAST. What's up, family? Joe B from CRUSHERCAST here. Glad to have you guys back. It's been a long time. We haven't done an episode in a while, but we are officially back. And we are back with Jessi Canoy. I always call you Canoy. I know it's not official.
It's official.
It's official?
It's
okay.
official.
So I can call you Jessi Canoy then.
I've got 15 years in it. It's official.
Okay, you've paid your dues then.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming. Mm-hmm. Brought your bodyguard with you.
I did.
Big Daddy's over there, keeping an eye on me. That's what he's doing. So did you guys make it through this weather okay?
Yep, we sure did.
I had 2 days. I got up to go to work, and it was 2 degrees out. My car was like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Right. I love the snow. However, I'm definitely over it at this point.
Yeah, I'm over it. I think it's 45 out there now, and it feels like 90.
Amazing.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it feels great.
Yeah.
So you know what this whole thing's about, right? Mm-hmm. You know what CRUSHERCAST, your hubby's been here, and some of our mutual friends have been here. And you're here because you inspire me. I've had the privilege of watching you through your husband. I knew your husband first. Everywhere I see you, there's a love that follows you. When I see you interacting with people, and and I know you do work with people in recovery. You do some work with battered women, and personal development. I don't get to see that part of it, but some of the other areas I get to see the work that you do from an outsider's point of view. Mm-hmm. And you always have this love that you give. It just exudes from you. And I don't know if you're conscious of it, but you can't fake that stuff. And that inspires me, and I look because of my insecurities in life, I look to people who have what success in an area, or they look like they're happy in a certain area, and I just copy what they do. Nothing I do is original. And I see you giving love, and that inspires me that under all circumstances I can go and do that.
Thank you for saying that.
That's
sweet. That's so
welcome.
Sweet.
You're welcome. But it's true. I want to know what it was like growing up, Jessi.
Okay.
So, want to start there?
Okay. So I was like this carefree little girl growing up. I was real talkative, and I loved to play. I loved to be happy.
Did you grow up in this area? Where'd you grow up?
I actually did grow up in this area. I grew up in Bridgeton.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
I was an overland kid for a little bit.
Awesome. I was born in Bridgeton and lived there for like the first 5 or 6 years of my life. Mm-hmm. And my parents got divorced, I guess, or they separated, I guess, around 5 or 6. Mm-hmm. And I was real close with my grandma. Like, we were the spoiled kids that got to go to grandma's. We didn't go to daycare. We didn't do any of that. Like, we went to grandma's. All of my cousins, everything. We had our own rooms there.
And grandma was here in the area, too.
Yeah, grandma was in the area. Yeah, so, growing up, she was like June Cleaver. You know exactly who I'm talking about, right? When I say that today, a lot of people have no idea what I'm talking about. Yeah. However, she was just the sweetest, caring, loving woman ever. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I grew up in this area. And then when my parents separated, I went with my mom, and my brother went with my dad. And
how was that?
It was rough. It was rough for me. I was always kind of a daddy's girl, and however, I also clung to mom. So I think my dad just didn't have an idea of how to raise a girl, So I wound up going with my mom, and stuff started to get rough after that. And so I kind of had to grow up fast.
How were they with that?
Like with what?
The parents. Your parents, were they...
in the divorce, it was ugly. Or in the separation, it was ugly. Yeah, it wasn't, it wasn't the easiest thing to go through.
Never is.
Right. So, yeah, it was rough. Like, there was a lot of drinking and a lot of drugs involved with my mom. And...
did they try to play you guys against each other, or was there any of that?
No, there was none of that. There was none of that. I think so. I look just like my mom. Like we could be sisters, and a lot of people think that she is my sister. However, my dad would always I reminded him of my mom. So yeah, so I think that I got the brunt of his anger towards her.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of grew up fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was school?
School was, I was never a school kid. I was never a school kid. I've always been a friends and a people person, So I love people. I just love people.
School is where I went to find out where the party was.
Yeah, man. Right. So school wasn't for me, it was a gathering place where my friends were. Mm-hmm.
You seem, I won't say you seem, I know you to be very intelligent. So was that, like when I was growing up, it was always, if Joe would just apply himself.
Yeah.
He's above average intelligence, but if he would just apply himself.
Right.
Was that true in your?
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally. And thing. The thing is that I was applying myself. Like now I can see I was applying myself, just not in the area of school.
Right.
It's like I had the street smarts, having to grow up fast. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So how did your brother take it?
How did my brother take it? Is that what you
the
said?
divorce and living after that.
I think my brother just didn't want to think about it, or didn't. He wasn't the person who would talk about it. You know, he was never good in the feelings department, I guess. You know what I mean? Like we just
Head in the sand type of
right.
approach.
We just didn't talk about it a whole lot as, you know, brother and sister. It was just a thing that happened, and it was what it was. You know, he very much so like my dad. He's, you know, the hunter, and he loves fishing and hanging out with his buddies, and you know, pick on his little sister. That's my brother, or that was us growing up.
Right.
Yeah.
Was there any what we would look back now and call mentors, or was there people that you looked up to? I mean, obviously, Grandma sounded like she was one of them. But,
yeah, Grandma was definitely one of them.
Any inspirations back then? People made you want to do.
So it would be my grandma for sure. She was my safe space. I think she was that for our whole entire family. So, you know, after she passed away, it was like that's when our family dispersed. And yeah, she's still to this day like the part of me that loves that's my grandma. You know, so
I thought as soon as you said that about Grandma, I was like,
yeah,
I bet
oh
that's
man,
where it's come from.
Totally where I get it from. And then my Aunt Cheryl, she was always like the strong woman who, to me, she always stood in her truth and was who she was unapologetically, which was absolutely beautiful. And
The free living aunt. I think everybody has the free living aunt.
Yeah, she wasn't. She was definitely a free spirit. She wasn't into drinking or drugs or anything like that. You know, she was just her unapologetically, and it was a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. I inspired to be like her when I was little, just because of that. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Anybody outside of the family that you can think of that?
Growing up.
No.
No, not outside of the family.
Did you graduate?
I did not graduate.
Yeah.
Yeah, school was, like I said, it just wasn't my thing.
When did you walk away from that?
I walked away as soon as I possibly could, Joe.
Me too. I kept going back, but I walked away. Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as I could. So yeah, I dropped out when I think I turned 16. And I dropped out then. You know, I was already very much so into drugs and, you know, finding the right crowd for me at the time, you know. Yeah, so I had to be done with that. There was so much judgment in school from the kids, and I was terrified of being seen, you know.
Being seen. What do you
Being
mean?
seen, like, so I guess I put off this hard ass image, you know, because of how much I love, you know, being older, it's easy to say that now. However, I really put off this, stay the fuck away from me, you know? I didn't want to let anybody in. I put up a bunch of walls. And so, you know, I pretended, I just wear that mask a lot. And I was terrified of being hurt, you know? So I kept people at bay. And the people that I surrounded myself with were bad, just like me, you know? Yeah.
So, yeah, anytime anybody speaks about having drinking and drugging career, at least the people I know anyways, there was dark times. Did that lead to dark times later?
Dark times later as in after school and all that?
Yeah.
Got it. Absolutely. Absolutely. I started my whole drinking and drugging career really when I was about 13. It really took off. And
that was my age too.
yeah. So it really took off. And I guess just like having to grow up fast and everything like that, I was, you know, parents getting divorced, like took a big toll on me. And I just wanted to numb all that. And I didn't want to feel the things I was feeling. And yeah, I mean, I got into meth. I got into all of it. And I was just lost. It felt very lost.
And you mentioned a minute ago that your mom drank and drugged a lot. Was there
Yep.
any thought of maybe that coming from that, or was that became why it was a tool for you? You think?
You know, I think it played a piece of it. However, I remember telling myself I would never wanted to be like her. You know, I never wanted to be like her in that realm, and I was going to be different. And you know, kids do what we do, not what we say.
Right.
And so I think it played a big role in it. You know, just the coping method of it all. Yeah. I didn't see it like that then. It was just a good time.
No.
It was just a good time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So things got darker, I'm assuming, or?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, so at 15, you know, the best way for me to get drugs all the time without having to pay for them is you hook up with your drug dealer. That's what you do, you know, as a woman, or that's what I did as a woman. And so,
I was going to say that takes on a whole different thing.
it
for
does.
guys,
Right. So, yeah, I wound up hooking up with him, and I got pregnant, and
How old were you when you got pregnant?
I was 16 when I got pregnant, and I had her when I was 17. And I can remember being terrified. I was just terrified.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because I wasn't good enough to be a mom. I wasn't, you know, there's all kinds of stuff in there. Yeah, it was rough, you know. I had her at 17, and I remember telling myself that I was going to be sober, and I wasn't going to keep traveling down the same road. You know, I couldn't do to her what I felt had been done to me.
Right.
And so I took on I have to be a good mom, you know? And so I stayed sober for probably the first 7 months. And then I remember thinking, like, I'll just drink some beer. You know, it'll be okay. I'll just drink some beer. So that led into full swing back into the drug use. And I can remember it being like a tit for tat with her dad. You know, like, oh, he did this much, so I got to do this much, or, you know, and this, like, it felt very alone. It felt very alone. That's why.
Were you in contact with your family, like the home family, through all that using?
No, I attempted to keep everybody at arm's length. You know, I wanted to hide what I was doing because I was ashamed. I was ashamed of it all, you know.
I did that until I needed somebody for something.
Yeah.
Then I'd go back and visit them.
Oh, yeah. I did that too.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. I need an electric bill paid, you know, car insurance,
I'm
whatever
cold,
it was.
I'm hungry.
Right. Yeah. I did all that stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kept everybody at arm's length though. You know what I mean? I had to hide who I was, is how it felt.
Were you working?
I worked on and off. Yeah. I couldn't keep a job for too long, you know? Right. It was just.
It's hard to keep up that mask.
Yeah. It's hard to keep up with the lies that you got to tell. It's like, oh, I was late today because of this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Not because I was up for 3 days.
Well, then there's that. Yeah.
Right. Were there any bright and shining lights in the middle of that? I can look back over some of my darker days, and I remember now, when I look back, there was people who had a little twinkle about them that was attractive to me. But once again, like you said, I didn't feel like worthy of
Right.
of better things in life, or thought
Right.
I didn't think that it was available to me. But I still noticed people living right. Did you see any of that, or were you just in your world?
Yeah, I seen that. I was very angry. I was very angry.
I can't see that.
Yeah, I was very angry at the things that had happened to me, you know?
Victim? Big time victim?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally living in victim world. And I think the only person that I had that, you know, after my grandma passed away, my aunt, you know, I
How
kept
old were
her.
you when Grandma passed away?
I was 9.
Oh, okay.
I was
Okay.
9. Yeah.
Okay.
So she passed away of cancer, and that was a rough one. However, my aunt, who inspired me as a kid, you know, and who I looked up to. God forbid her find out anything about me. And the truth is, she would have loved me right through it. Like, she was just that woman, like, be who you are. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
We got this. Right.
However, because she was that way, I had to, you know, it was like, no.
Right.
So, yeah, I was angry. The only person that I can remember thinking that about was my dad. I put my dad up on this big pedestal, right? Because he's the guy who had the job, who had the, you know, $300,000 house and all this land. And I just put him up on a pedestal, you know, and that was living right in my eyes. Other than that, everybody I think in my life at the time was on the same playing field that I was. I had to keep it even, you know, or at least that's how I felt, is I had to keep it even. So there wasn't a whole lot of, I can say that I would have glimpses of knowing what I was doing wasn't effective for what I wanted. So it wasn't good for what
flickers of consciousness.
Yeah, little flickers of consciousness. It's like I knew what I was doing was wrong, and it didn't. You know, I would just stuff that away. Yeah.
So if would you go back and change anything?
Today, I say absolutely not, because it built me into the person that I am today. And yeah, I wouldn't. Everything. Today, it's a gift. All of that stuff that I went through is a giant gift, and I truly feel that in my soul. You know, I feel like I get to look back and see where God or source or universe, whatever you want to call it, you know, is guiding me. And it's a beautiful thing. It's just a beautiful thing. Was it harder than hell? Yeah. You know,
uncomfortable.
Yeah, extremely. And I know without those struggles that I wouldn't be Jessi sitting here with Joe today.
Right.
You know,
Right.
So yeah, I don't believe. Maybe I wish I would have had more time with my grandma. You know, I wish I would have had more time. However, it's my selfishness.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you put Dad up on a pedestal. And we all know tall pedestals cast long shadows. How's that relationship?
Oh, you had to go there, Joe.
You laid it up
I know.
there.
I know. I love it. So that relationship today, currently.
If you're comfortable talking.
Oh, I'm absolutely comfortable talking about it. That relationship today, currently, is. It's like I did tons of work in that realm because I put him up on a pedestal, and that was mine. I did that, you know, and he could never live up to my expectations. And so for years, I worked on that, you know, with my sponsor, with, you know, through the personal development and all that. And I got to see where I was responsible in it. So today, I've said everything that I could possibly ever wanted to say to him. And, you know, 6-year-old me, 15-year-old me, I put it all in this letter. And that was probably one of the hardest things I ever did. And it took me about 3 weeks to write. However, I wanted to make it as responsible as I could. Like, these are my feelings. This is where I'm at. This is how I felt.
Leave his dignity intact.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because, you know, he didn't deserve any of that. And it was mine. And so I owned it. And in the end of the letter, I put that I would like a new relationship. I didn't want the one that had existed. And, you know, that we didn't have to discuss any of it, that he could just call me and tell me he loves me. We can go from there. And he did. And yeah, I get to build a relationship with him that is our relationship. It's nothing that I have no expectations on it anymore. I have nothing but love.
Yeah.
You know, nothing but love. So it's beautiful. I love it.
I love hearing that. I know when it came time for me to confront my dad, the dad that raised me, I went to him at the exact wrong time to tell him I was sorry for everything I'd ever done my whole life and expecting this big hug and, and all this stuff,
Right.
you know, and he laughed at me, you know, and it hurt my feelings. But a few hours later, we came to this point to where he goes, I love you, but I just don't like you. And I was like, I feel the same way about you. And as weird as that sounds, we built an amazing relationship on that, you know, and because I blamed him. He was, like you said, my dad was up here. I just wanted his approval, and that was my victimhood. You know,
Right.
Daddy never approved of me all my life and all this stuff, you know. And I can remember around that time, I went to him and tried to make amends and all this stuff, and he wasn't having it or anything like that. We had this big conversation, and I came to a point to where I realized, I thought back, he had a breakdown and just a complete meltdown. He was in a institution for a little bit, stuff like that. And I thought, this guy that I worshiped my whole life, he's weak and he's scared and he's angry and, you know, he's a piece of crap. You know, why was I looking up to him? And I was angry because I was looking up to him that whole time, seeking his approval. And then come to find out, he was just human. You know what I mean? And
Right.
once I let him just be human, like you said, get rid of the pedestal, and just let him be who he was, man, we had an amazing relationship at the end.
Right.
You know, it's just weird how we construct those things. I love how you said that.
We do. I used to call it, I created this fairy tale dad in my head. I called it my fairy tale dad because it's what I wanted. And I like totally expected him to be that at all times. And yeah, it's a wicked thing. It's a wicked, wicked thing to have that realization. And it's a huge blessing too, because that was a rough realization, you know, that it was all mine and I made it up.
Right.
It was made up. Here I am, like, you got to be this way.
Right. We do that to people. We back them in the corner sometimes.
Right.
So I met you, I believe I saw you, you know, just banging around organization we both attend. And then I kind of knew you as Dave's wife, but I believe around, I think it was the Ink Spot block party that year, we kind of got to know each other, and then we've moved on and seen each other more through different events and stuff like that.
Right.
You know, I kind of have a snapshot of who you are, but I'm interested in who you are. I want to hear from your words who you are today.
Well, I love big, you know, and I attempt to throw myself out there and be as vulnerable and open as I can. I love helping people. I'm a work in progress too. You know what I mean? Like, I still have a lot of limiting beliefs that hold me back that I get to struggle through. I love that I get to struggle through today because I still get to be a student. You know what I mean? That's how it feels. I still get to learn about this thing that's Jessi. I'm a mom. It's funny that that just came out because I'm a mom. I'm Big Dave's wife, and I'm discovering, like, all my kids are growing up now, and you know, my youngest is 14, and so they're all kind of flying the coop. There's 5 of them, so they range from 22 to 22, yeah, to
You better get them right.
right 22, I think, yeah, 23 maybe, down to 14, and so they're all kind of leaving. And you know, for a long time I identified as mom. You know, and now I
Getting a
get
little
to
empty nest.
yeah, for sure. So I'm going through that, and I get to find this thing that's Jessi. Like, who am I today? And I get to create that. So when you ask me who I am, like,
Just today. That's all I'm asking.
yeah, today I'm somebody who loves and somebody who wants more and new and different. And I love pushing my edge. I love being uncomfortable, even though I don't love it in the moment. You know, I love the gifts that come from it. I love to create change in the world. That's what I love. I love creating change in the world and potentially being it first.
So where's that come from, and what's that look like right now?
Where does that come from? That comes from,
Or did you just create it out of the blue?
no, I do a lot of work, Joe. I do a lot of work on me. Because, you know, growing up, who I was and the anger and all of that shit is not who I want to be. That's not what I want to feel. So it comes from doing years of personal development and years of working a 12-step program and stepping outside of my box, you know? Yeah.
So what is success? I know you and Dave, I don't, founded, created, take part in a personal development program. And when people hear that, I know the general public, when they hear personal development or anything like that, they think of success mentoring and stuff like that. But just in layman's terms, if you can explain what success for you looks like. It doesn't, not necessarily financial, but.
Right. Well, if you were looking for financial, that's not what you're going to get from me.
Okay. But just whatever. I just have to say that because.
However, it's a part of it. It is a part of it. It's a part of it.
It allows for certain other things to happen.
For sure.
Yeah.
And, money was the root of all evil for me. You know, it really was. Money's not what I cared about because that's what my dad cared about. And it was the thing that took time away from me. So that's where that came from. However, what I know today is that, the financial aspect of it, I can help a lot of people with money. I can help a lot of people, and I'm all about that. So success for me today is, it's building strong, healthy, beautiful relationships. It's networking with people. It's being the change in the world for me. That's success to me, and I strive for that. So I get to wake up every morning and do that. Hopefully I don't screw it up.
Isn't that really part of the process? So we got to screw a bunch of stuff up. I think Dave Grohl said, "Go out and suck for a while." You know what I mean? And, earlier you mentioned being Big Dave's wife.
Yeah.
And we were talking a little bit before we got started about stuff like that. What's anybody that knows Dave knows Dave.
Right.
Dave's a go-getter.
Right.
Dave's always got something going on. He's an entrepreneur. We've been there with him. What is it like? You've told us here today that you like being change and creating change and manifesting that for others, or at least helping others manifest it for themselves.
Right.
What is that? I'll just put it straight up. What's it like being Big Dave's old lady?
Well, it's absolutely a blessing to be Big Dave's wife. It is. I'm with somebody who works just as hard on their self as I do, and being better and different. Maybe not better. Better is a judgment, man. Being different, striving for what we want. And then there's the flip side to it. And the flip side to it is I talked about my limiting beliefs earlier. And so you were asking me about success. Dave is a very successful, driven. It's funny because I think of Dave's brain like this, right? So it's a clean slate in the morning, and then he builds New York City throughout the day with ideas of new businesses and new things to do. And he's like constantly off in his brain and building business, and for me, that's not me, and I don't get that yet. There's something in me, it's that limiting stuff that is just like, I need to be doing more. I feel that pull to be doing more because that's Big Dave. And I'm his wife. I write this story about what that means, and so I struggle sometimes reminding myself that I get to be me, and that us like Jessi and Dave couldn't be who Dave is today without Jessi, and Jessi the same way with Dave, you know? So, so on the flip side of it, it's hard sometimes that I have to pull myself back in, you know, and just be Jessi. And
he allows you plenty of space to do that.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The communication between me and Dave is unlike something I've ever seen. Not saying we don't fudge that, because we do.
I'd call you a liar if you said that.
Right. However, we both we'll battle through anything, you know, and we're both looking to get to the end of it, no matter what it is, you know, and we love each other hard through it, you know. Yeah. So I
love it. One of the questions I ask everybody when they're here is that you've got 10 minutes left on this planet. You're going out. You're on your deathbed. Anybody and everybody who means anything to you in the world is around you. You got enough time to say one thing. What truth are you sharing?
Am I sharing? Ooh, Joe, that's a big, deep question.
I like it noted that was on the pre-interview letter that I sent you, so it's not a surprise.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a surprise. However, if you're me, you want to have all the answers before you sit on the podcast.
So
you don't. I did my best to like not even preemptively think of anything. So
it is a big question, but it's a simple question, but it's a big one.
Yeah. The first thing that came to mind, Joe, is I would say thank you to everybody who's around me for loving me, and just allowing me to be me. You know, that would be my truth. I feel extremely grateful for the people that surround me today, you know? Yeah. So I would say thank you. Yeah, for loving me just the way I am.
It shows. I think that's the love that I picked up on. And if I had to guess, you know, those little sparks of light, your aunt, your grandma, and all those. I know in my life, I look back, when I don't know what to do, I look back and try to remember somebody who did know what to do. You know what I mean? It's almost what would grandma have done here, you know? Or and sometimes it's almost innate in us that, you know, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be happy, you know, or I'm supposed to make this person happy or help them see happiness. And I can see that in you, and that's that inspiration. I know you guys have gone, just like anybody, I know you guys have gone through problems and troubles and had rough years and stuff like that, and kid problems and stuff that we all do. And that's what this podcast is about, is that we're all the same, you know, and we all find inspiration in different ways if we just look for it, you know. And like you said, you've done a lot of work to get to where you are, and it shows, and excuse me, got me. So how can people? Okay, I'll ask this question first. What are you up to today that you want people to know about?
Ooh. The biggest thing that I have going on right now is I'm starting a not-for-profit. Me and two other beautiful women in my life are starting a not-for-profit called the MeWE House.
Okay.
And it's for women who are pregnant and addicted, or who are newly postpartum and babies born addicted, moms addicted. You know, they get their babies taken away from them. Yeah. And I understand what we are attempting to do here, yet there's a struggle. Like, you're creating bonding issues with that baby that stick with that baby. You know, they grow up to be adults that have bonding issues, and it's hard for them to find love and keep love. And, you know, I just feel like today, it's like we're not paying attention. We're attempting to do what's right, and we're not paying attention. And to the big stuff, you know, and the big stuff is the bonding issues that kids grow up with and become adults. So, we're in the process of getting our 501c3 back, and that's been a process due to COVID.
Yeah,
However,
sure.
yeah. So we are looking for donations for any of that, and we're actually going to start getting into the grant writing process this year. And we will have a home for these women. So basically, we're going to run a home where mom and baby can stay together, and we will bring them to our facility, our home. And we're actually going to work with DFS to keep mom and baby together. That way, DFS can still be involved because we get it. In the same sense, though, we want to keep mom and baby together. Or hopefully, we get them in the pregnancy stage, and we can break that familial cycle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And get them on the road to recovery. And create something different.
So you guys have a website. How can people find you on the socials or?
Yeah. So we have, it's called MeWeHouses.org.
Okay.
And
I'll put that up on.
Awesome. So we have a Facebook. We're going to be doing a gala, and it's going to be pretty neat.
Okay.
We're just
Can you
not
tell me
sure
about
of it.
that?
We're not sure of a date yet. We're still kind of putting it together. We had put it together, and then COVID hit. And so we have a place in mind. So I don't want to throw all that out there yet because I'm really not sure all the details. We're still working all that out. We actually, it's so neat how this thing's happening, Joe, because it's God, universe, source, whatever you want to call it, keeps throwing. I mean, people just keep walking our way that are supposed to be there. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, it is,
Flow.
yeah, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. So we recently, a woman came into our lives that, she's done all this before. She's done this in the schools in Lincoln County, and I totally think she was a God thing. And so we're kind of taking direction from her, along with some other people in our lives. And
she's a little more familiar with the bureaucracy part of it.
yes,
And all that.
yeah. Because we're starting based on my best friend's vision. That's what
I love it.
She came to me and she was, bawling her head off and telling me about this. And I'm like, go home and write it down and bring it back to me and tell me what you got. And when she told me, it hit home for me. Through my drug use and everything, I got my kids taken away by DFS. It wasn't, it was a while after they were born. It was a couple years after they were born. However, I remember when I got my kids taken away, they didn't give me any kind of information on what to do, and it's not like any of my family members really ever went and did recovery or anything like that. Right. So I had nothing, and it took months for me to get a written service plan of what I was to do. And it was just put in my lap, and it was like, here you go. This is what you're supposed to do. You got to comply. And I had no idea where to start. I was so lost.
Right.
So, I want to make a change with that. These women need help. They don't know what that looks like. There's, if they're anything like me, they don't know what it looks like. So, yeah.
Cool. Well, I will get all the information from you. I'll put it up on here, and make sure it's in anything attached to this. We'll have that in that.
Right. Also, in our, I do the personal development and stuff too. And my husband and one of my very good friends run a company called Elevate. And so it's the work that I do. And that's also going to be a part of MeWe House, because I believe that, I talked about my limiting beliefs a little bit, and that's where I learned that from, is the work. We call it the work. I think that has a huge, that's a huge piece of addiction, and where it comes from is it starts when we're little. It starts based on what we're telling ourselves about us. And so that's going to be a big part of MeWe too.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Are you guys, I know still at Ground Zero, are you guys looking to do one just like in Lincoln County or to start with, or?
Yeah, to start with, we're gonna open up our first one in Lincoln County. However,
people from anywhere can go to it, right?
Yeah.
If they get hooked up.
Yeah, for sure. However, I see this being very big.
Yeah.
You know, I see it being very big. There's such a need for it. And until I started working in treatment and my friend Erica, she works in labor and delivery and she sees 2 a week, something like that, crazy. And I had no idea like how big this really was until I started working in treatment. Erica told me about it and it was just like, oh my gosh, you know, we got to do something. So yeah, it's a big deal.
Cool. So do you have any other shameless plugs you'd like to throw out there?
I do.
You guys aren't affiliated with any businesses or anything, are you?
I mean, maybe a few.
Okay.
Maybe a few,
Okay,
Joe.
I'm going to throw a few of those out.
Yeah. So if you're interested in the work, we have Elevate. So Elevate is on Facebook. We actually don't have a website. It's kind of hard explaining the work. What I can tell you is that it changed my life, changed my husband's life. It changed our relationship.
Kind of like seminar-based
It is.
approach.
More like a workshop. Seminar sounds really boring. Like we don't just sit there the whole
Sounds a little
time
Tony
and
Robbins-ish.
yeah, we don't just sit there the whole time and you know, like it's not school.
Okay.
We actually do exercises and different, not like workout. However, like exercises to so basically you're learning about 85 tools and you get to do exercises in a safe environment and practice this stuff and it's huge. It's huge. I believe we need to be teaching this in schools, you know. That's why we're going to make it a part of our, you know, the MeWE House. Yeah, it's huge. So it's a 3-day workshop. We do a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And Friday, you know, it's usually like people get there and they're like, oh my God, what's going to happen? This is crazy. And then, you know, Sunday we can barely even push them out the door. It's like, okay, you guys got to go home. You got to go home. Because it's just amazing. We have lots of presentations and stuff like that coming up. Because that's pretty much the only way to explain it is you gotta be in person to hear it, you know? Yeah. So there's Elevate. And then we have, a commercial framing company called White Cardinal Contracting. They're actually building our house right now. Yeah. We're building
Getting
a dream
close?
house.
You on the finish line? See the finish line yet?
Well, we just had a week worth of 0-degree weather.
Oh,
so
well, that'll slow things down.
we're actually getting ready to, it'll be enclosed once we get the garage doors on it and then we can start on the inside. So we're looking to be done by the end of April. So yeah. So they do all kinds of work.
They're nationwide, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah. Arizona, Indiana, they're all over the place, Florida, I think. Yeah. So I'm not sure if there's a website. Yeah.
Okay.
Facebook, White
Okay.
Cardinal Contracting.
I'll put a link.
Cool. Yeah, about it.
No vape shops or anything?
Well, we got One Stop Vape Shop in Troy.
Oh,
Yep.
just
Just One Stop Vape Shop. Yeah, it's just a little vapor business. There's great people that work inside. And then we have the Ink Spot. Of course, we got the Ink Spot tattoo shops.
Shop. Oh, yeah, I've
Yeah.
heard about it.
I mean, maybe. And we got 2 of them. We got 2 different locations. We got one in Troy, and then we got one in St. Peters.
In St. Peters?
Yeah, and that's my family. That's my family, yeah. The atmosphere is amazing just because we have that. Like, all of us, anytime we leave, we're like, I love you. I love you.
Right.
I love you. I love it. So, yeah, we have some very incredible artists. And it's not, you don't just get a tattoo when you're there. No, it's like therapy, you know? And, yeah, it's like therapy, man. It's like love therapy.
Yeah.
So
Everybody's so cool there.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yep. That's it for my shameless plugs.
That's all your shameless plugs?
That's all my shameless plugs right now that I can muster up.
So anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up? Anything?
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure.
This kind of scared the crap out of me. I'm not really one to have a microphone in front of my face. However, like I said, I'd love to be uncomfortable because I know the gifts that I get from growing. So I really appreciate you and you sharing this with me. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for coming. And I think if I keep doing this long enough, I think I'll get the whole Canoy family on here at some point or another, or at least everybody at Ink Spot. I'm gonna get Robbie too at some point. up
Awesome.
here.
Awesome.
But thank you so much for coming. Like I said, I see the love that you spread, and sometimes it's without even saying anything. And I know some of the people that you mentor, and I see their lives changing because of what you're giving them and handing them. And I just ask that you and Dave and all you guys just keep doing what you're doing because you are making an impact.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you for coming.
All right. I love you.